Welcome back to the Star Wars Show, live from Star Wars Celebration 2016 on StarWars.com. And I am now very excited to be joined by Neal Scanlan and the entire panel that just finished up their Creatures of TFA panel, which I watched a little bit of, and it absolutely blew my mind. It's so incredible to see these creatures that you guys have created on a very intimate level and see how they work. And I'm sure fans at home really enjoyed seeing that. So what inspired you to get into creature building and puppeteering?
Well, for me personally, I was, excuse me, as a very young person, I saw a film made by a man called Ray Harryhausen, who is what we consider to be the sort of godfather of visual effects, to be honest. And I knew really from about age 6 that that's what I wanted to do. That was, I had that moment, and from that moment on, I just pursued that. I would go to places like this, which were much more humble at their time, where Ray would talk about his models and how he did his films. And that led me all the way up until the point that I was old enough to try for a job and get a job. So
when did you start at ILM and start working on Star Wars?
We literally started at the beginning of Force Awakens, which is now just over 3 years ago. There was no true ILM in the UK at that time. Obviously, Lucasfilm, Disney. And so everybody here and the team were all put together about 3 years ago to start to create the characters for Force Awakens, and obviously for Rogue One, and now through to the others.
So the characters that we saw in Force Awakens were pretty groundbreaking. We're seeing characters that are built practically with animatronics, but also have a bit of CGI to just assist in their emotions.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
How is that process different than just working with practical effects? How do you blend them together?
I think in truth, practical effects had maybe, dare I say, in previous films, reached the point of their limits. There was we could only go so far, and then in comes CGI, this incredible new medium, which allows for us to see a dinosaur, for instance, for the first time run. So now we're, several years on from there, we're in a much better place. And certainly, if you look at ILM, we're almost back to the days that we were originally, because we're able to make practical effects, and where we can't achieve something practically, the digital effects guys can come in and help us.
And we've got a Chewbacca behind us.
There's definitely some activity going on behind, which is a bit worrying, isn't it?
Oh, wow. So what is it, do you think, about practical characters, about these models and actors in suits that makes them so relatable, that makes them, even back in the day, so...
Yeah, I think there's, and I don't mean this to be a criticism, but I think there's a little bit with CGI is that it is so brilliant, it is so perfect, that it's almost slightly fraudulent. It demands of you to believe it to be real. And I think as many film-going audiences, and especially the Star Wars, certainly for me, Star Wars was that I know they're not real. I know that these are people in suits. I know that this is, as I said earlier, a box with legs. But that's what's so fantastic about it. That's what's so charming and endearing and wonderful, and that's what the Star Wars world is. And so I think it's a fantastic forum to be able to put practical effects forward, and the viewing audience and the fans embrace it. It's a perfect marriage of appreciation for the film, as well as the sort of ability to sort of, push the boundaries.
And that's what I love so much about seeing the heads, the masks you brought out on stage, was that a lot of people thought that they were just animated. They didn't realize all of the work and care that went into building every facial muscle.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. How long does it take to build something like that?
Typically about 3 months, I suppose. Julian here at the end is the sculptor. Each one of these guys here all plays a role in that process. So if you imagine that a creature starts with Julian, it's going to make its way along this group of people, finally coming to Brian's world, who's a performer, and as you saw, Nick, who came out. And so that process, pretty well from beginning to end, by the time we come to shoot it, is about a 3-month process. We're obviously making creatures, lots of them all at the same time, it's tough to make anything less than that, although they do ask quite often that we do that.
I bet the energy in the creature shop is just insane.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
I love it.
Like, that is a bucket list thing, like, to be able to come and watch you guys work, because it's crazy. Do you have a favorite creature that you made for The Force Awakens?
Do I have a favourite? I suppose in some ways, to me, the metal pecking bird is one of my favourites because, like the little sand creature that popped out of the sand, it is simple,
Right.
it is just charming, and it is just, to me, ultimately Star Wars. It's a throwaway moment that you could miss with a blink of an eye. It's not pretentious, it's just Star Wars,
Yeah.
and I love it.
That's perfectly.
And for all of the other things that we made and we'll go on to continue to make, it doesn't always have to be sophisticated or anything. It's just has to be Star Wars, doesn't it?
And looking towards the future, I have to talk about Space Monkey.
Yeah.
We have all become like totally obsessed with this guy. Seeing him, just from what we've seen in the sizzle reel, but seeing him come out on stage and perform, I mean,
Yeah.
what is that like? He's just
Yeah.
incredible.
Nick.
That was absolutely amazing.
I mean, you're a star. You've already won everything.
That was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life. I'm so happy. And the audience were just amazing. Absolutely amazing. So
Yeah, they're already so in love with that design. Where did that come from? And your performance was brilliant, by the way.
thank you.
I mean, and I think is a real strong point. I mean, Nick is an incredible performer in his own right, and what he brings to that life that he brings to it, is what lights it up, really. It's working with Gareth Edwards, Rogue One director. JJ had his vision of the way that he wanted to see the Star Wars world. Gareth has his own, and it's incredibly exciting. It's very unique, and Gareth has a very personal take, and so each director demands new things of you, and he pushed us really hard into this world where he really wanted the creatures, the droids, all of those things to be just part of. We could be here right now, and Space Monkey would be in the corner. He would be doing nothing different than what we're doing right now. He would be walking around. He's not special in any way. He's part of the Star Wars world, and I think when you go to see Rogue One, you'll see just that, how much of that is Gareth's intention, that you are immersed in this film, and that these creatures are just part of it. It's all of the characters that we're doing and we shot on were very much part of that. Warwick is one of them also, and so amazing.
What we've seen so far of the visual language of Rogue One is just absolutely mind-blowing. So we can't wait to see more. Thank you guys so much for taking time to come up here and sharing all of your work with us.
Thank you.
And we will be back in just a minute with more Star Wars Show live from Star Wars Celebration on StarWars.com.